President Trump is in Japan this morning. It's the second stop on his nearly week-long trip to Asia. Today, the president will meet with the Japanese prime minister, who's the first woman to hold that office. The two leaders are expected to discuss defense spending and trade, the latter of which tops the agenda for each stop on Trump's Asia tour. So far, the president completed the first leg of his trip in Malaysia, landing in Kuala Lumpur to a red carpet welcome and a dance party that you see there, before announcing a series of economic agreements that include access to critical minerals, as well as signing a peace declaration between Thailand and Cambodia. And later this week, President Trump will conclude his visit in South Korea, where he's expected to sit down with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Ahead of that high-stakes face-to-face meeting, U.S. officials say they reached a framework of a trade deal with China, and the president previewed those talks.
We have a lot of things to discuss, including our farmers. We have a lot of things to discuss. The various trade deals that have been made in the past, and some broken, some not broken, but we've got many, many things. They have to make concessions. I guess we would too. We're at a 157% tariff for them. I don't think that's sustainable for them, and they want to get that down, and we want certain things from them. I'd love China to help us out with Russia. We put very big sanctions on Russia. I think those sanctions are going to be, they're very biting, they're very strong. But I'd like to see China help us out. I have a good relationship with, as you know, President Xi. Very good. We're going to be meeting. We'll have a good meeting. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a great meeting, maybe a great meeting. But I think we're going to do some good business. One of the things we'll talk about is the Russia-Ukraine.
Joining us now from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, MSNBC's Julia Jester. Julia, what more can you tell us about the president's trip so far? What are we going to expect today then and the rest of the week as well?
Right, Ali. President Trump hit the ground running yesterday here in Malaysia, presiding over the Kuala Lumpur Accords, this peace deal between Thailand and Cambodia. He then met with the Malaysian Prime Minister to sign a trade agreement. There was also a trade agreement with Cambodia and frameworks with Thailand and Vietnam. Now, a theme of the week appears to be bilateral meetings. He is here in Asia for the ASEAN summit here in Kuala Lumpur, and later this week he will head to APEC in South Korea. But along the way, he is having a lot of one-on-one bilateral meetings. He met with Brazilian President Lula yesterday discussing trade. He is set to, of course, meet with President Xi Jinping later this week on that China deal, and he's stopping over in Tokyo in between. Now, all eyes are on that China meeting, and we got a sense of what topics might come up. Secretary Bessent had been working behind the scenes here in Kuala Lumpur over the past couple of days with his Chinese counterparts, and he said that a lot of topics are on the table, and he thinks that a framework and a foundation for that meeting has been set. Everything from soybeans, agricultural purchases for U.S. farmers. That is a big deal in any potential trade agreement with China. In addition to that, he mentioned Russia and Ukraine, Russian oil purchases in there as well. There's TikTok on the table. There's also rare export controls, that key sticking point that led to this main spat between Trump and Xi in the first place. And so Bessent is seeming positive about this meeting. As for the Chinese, the Ministry of Commerce said that, yes, there has been a consensus ahead of this meeting, and the Chinese vice premier saying that he hopes both nations can meet each other halfway and really upholds these hard-fought outcomes from these discussions prior to that meeting. Now, in terms of South Korea, where the meeting will take place, Jamieson Greer, the U.S. trade representative, and Scott Bessent said on the gaggle just now on Air Force One, don't expect a trade deal with South Korea, but there could be some other surprises along the way, Ali.
We'll see what surprises are in store. MSNBC's Julia Jester reporting live from Malaysia. Thank you for coming on. And here on set with me, White House correspondent for Reuters, Jeff Mason. Jeff, I think you and I did this trip together in the first Trump administration.
Sounds right.
As he tracked around Asia. One of the stops on that trip was, of course, China, but he'll get that sideline meeting with Xi Jinping. Before we pivot to that, though, what have you seen in what the White House has done so far? Obviously, the economy is their chief focus here, specifically through trade deals and other lenses, right?
Yeah, I mean, the president considers himself a deal maker, whether it's on trade or whether it's on peace or whether it's on something else. Apparently, it's not on reopening the government back in the United States.
Yeah,
but
right.
That is what he's...
Deals for everyone except for here.
Deals for everyone except for here. Actually, I think it's a good time to note that I've covered the White House for 17 years. Every single government shutdown that I can think of in the past, certainly that I've covered with previous presidents, if there were a foreign trip that were scheduled during a shutdown, they would cancel it. So it's remarkable, really, that he's even abroad right now. But that's just kind of emblematic of President Trump's style, and it's also emblematic, I think, of the state of the shutdown talks. But back to Asia, and to your initial question, yeah, he's been focused on trade deals, and he's been focused on creating economic pacts with these countries that he's talking to.
Yeah, and I think that the way that you're seeing the Secretary of the Treasury kind of set up the talks that Trump is going to have with Xi are indicative, right? I mean, even at one point, our Kristen Welker on Meet the Press asked, well, what about these 100% tariffs? And Bessent basically pointed out that they were a leverage point. But I think it's striking to think about the leverage that the Chinese bring to the table. And I'm sure you've heard this in all of your source conversations as well. But Senator Jeanne Shaheen said it to me on Friday in a pretty stark way. I want to play for you her comments, and then we can talk about them on the other side. Watch. What are the hopes that you have, concerns that you have about that high-stakes meeting?
Well, I think China, unfortunately for us, is in a different place than they were in 2018 when the president talked about putting tariffs on the Chinese economy. They are in a stronger position, unfortunately, and I think that makes it harder to negotiate. They have about 90% of the critical minerals and processing of those minerals that the world uses. That puts a real concern on the part of us as we negotiate with them. If the president's talking about 100, and I think the number he floated today was over 100% tariffs on China, then what is that going to mean for the United States if they decide they're going to cut off all the critical minerals that are important to everything from our appliances to our missiles that we use in our defense?
So it's everything from national security to the consumer price that people will ultimately pay for some of those more everyday appliances. But do you think the White House has recognized the way that the circumstances around the Chinese have changed since the first term?
I don't know. I mean, I think the president sees himself as somebody who always has leverage in whatever relationship that he's trying to negotiate.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it's also, this is a whiplash presidency. The China-U.S. relationship has a whiplash aspect to it. Certainly it has in the last several weeks as they've been preparing for this meeting. There was a time when it was fully in doubt. There was a time when there were the threats of 100% tariffs. And now you have President Trump speaking in pretty rosy terms on Air Force One about his expectation of a deal. So it's back and forth. Clearly, it was Secretary Bessent's job to set the stage for it, and he's obviously talked about that. But we'll just have to see what comes out of the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder the way that the White House is saying that this could go from a good meeting to a great meeting, right? Because you heard the president sort of toggle. It's Trump's language, but is there an expectation set that they're going to come out of this with a tangible trade deal? Is there a deliverable, as we like to say in Washington?
I mean, look at some of the trade deals that the president has made in the past. When just this year, when he had his meeting with the UK Prime Minister and they said, we've got a trade deal, it still wasn't entirely done. My suspicion is, in this case, they may agree on some of that framework that the secretary was talking about, which they've set up. But whether that will mean an actual trade deal that they're ready to sign, I would say TBD. And probably for a trade deal between the world's two biggest economies, it's going to take more time.
Yeah, and